Hi, I'm Brozik. When I think about public speakers, I think about four things. Public speakers should be entertaining, they should be on point, they should have memorable messages, and lastly, they should be brief. It doesn't make any difference whether you're speaking to small groups of 30 people or less, or whether you're speaking to large audiences of 2,000 people. Those same four things must be present in every speech that you give. There's a lot of clutter in the public speaking industry today. So what makes Brozik different? Well, I've had a lot of experiences. As I mentioned before, and as my website shows, I've been a CEO, a COO, and a CFO. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I come from a Midwestern town, and just growing up gives me enough experiences that I could share these stories forever. But stories all by themselves don't make a good speaker. It's how does one relate that story to the on-point message that wants to be delivered by the people who hire you to speak? And then more importantly, how do you relate all of that to an age-appropriate level? Now, what do I mean by that? Probably one of the most difficult keynote addresses I ever had to give was to over 1,500 people. And the difficulty was, it was a Boys and Girls Club awards benefit event. So there were many, many children in the audience. There were possibly 300 kids in the audience and maybe 800 to 1,000 adults. Now, how do you send a message that isn't going to put the kids to sleep halfway through it so that they're fidgety, they're whining, the adults get distracted at the table so they're not listening anymore, and the only thing that everybody wants to do is to have you finish? So I thought about it, and I thought about the message that I wanted to give both to the young people as well as to the adults in the audience. And I chose a book written by Richard Bach called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's a very, very brief book, but it appeals to children. At the same time, the message contained in the book about striving to not be put into a box, striving to get better than your peers may think you should be, or just striving to break the barriers that society puts on various classes of people. And in the book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull soars to heights that could only be imagined in his own mind prior to his achievements of what he thought he could do. By the end of the speech, the kids totally loved it and got the message because it was about a seagull, and who doesn't like seagulls except people who have freshly washed cars? But the bottom line was the adults liked it because the kids were engaged, the adult message was positive, the kids liked it, and at the end of the day it was not that long of a speech, so the briefness was there and the message was delivered, remembered, and it left the room with the audience. The worst thing that can happen for a public speaker is speech is over, audience leaves, by the time they get to their car they forgot what you were talking about. So Brozik is different in that regard. I tend to use parables as a means to get my message across. I have a lot of anecdotal stories that I tell. I tell them in a very relaxed way. I very, very, very seldom used a script. I just simply ask the people that hire me, what is the age group of your audience? How long would you like me to speak? But more importantly, what message do you want them to remember?